Ian, how you doing?
Good. Joe,
exciting stuff going on?
Joining us. Very exciting stuff today. We announced today that all Ondo tokenized stocks and ETFs are live in MetaMask. What do you think that means for you and for the millions of people across markets that can now finally access these instruments alongside crypto?
It's a game changer. It's self-custodied access to instruments that most people around the world haven't normally had access to. So what you've been doing is tokenizing real-world assets, and tokenized real-world assets are now added to the natively tokenized assets and all accessible through MetaMask. And the kinds of assets or the way that you've been doing it is essentially a harbinger of how global finance is going to be moving. You've done some great things. Normally accessing equities involves T+1, T+2 settlement. You've done real-time settlement. That's a game changer for the velocity of an economy and for the ability of an individual to create some value in some sort of trade with their asset and then have it instantly available to do something else that's of value rather than losing access essentially to your asset for a day or two. Enabling access to trade 24/5 for the full work week. Enable permissionless access to move the tokens around anywhere 24/7, 365. Again, a game changer. Represents real freedom and agency, financial agency for people. Ability to use these tokens as collateral to borrow against, or in other kinds of situations to provide liquidity into DEXs in different situations to participate in vaults or other sorts of portfolio constructions, participate with full composability in DeFi. So congratulations to you, and we are absolutely delighted to be able to offer this to people around the world through MetaMask.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure working with you guys as well, and we share the excitement of really enabling these assets in a fully self-custodial manner to have these assets also work in DeFi. I think a lot of platforms out there are actually not ready for what that really means in terms of access and how financial services would work down the line. But tell me a little bit, what does that mean for MetaMask specifically, to have all these assets live on the same rails?
So it's part of the direction that we've been going in for quite a while. Again, it's about empowering users and communities to have permissionless access to and control over their own assets. I don't know about you, but I've walked into a bank and I've been denied access to my money at times when I asked for maybe more than $3,000. It was a few years ago. Maybe they've gotten a little better, and $3,000 isn't what it used to be. But MetaMask has been releasing features and capabilities at a rapid pace recently. So we've provided access to hyperliquid perpetual futures, to equity perps, to polymarket prediction markets. All of these instruments are accessible within the safe confines of your MetaMask. You don't need to move tokens to a centralized exchange or explicitly bridge to some network to access those exciting instruments. We've been rolling out our MetaMask debit card globally, and that's a game changer also in the sense that instead of taking your paycheck and moving it into your bank account so that you can make use of your debit card to pay for things in your life, you can actually move your capital into an account on Linea, and then you can move all your capital into DeFi. And if you're going out and paying for dinner on a Tuesday, on that particular Tuesday, right at that time, you're paying on the global MasterCard network, and some of your capital moves out of DeFi to essentially pay. And so instead of the bank earning yield on your back, you're earning yield on your money. And so MetaMask USD, our stablecoin, is also rolling out globally. We're very excited about that. We've got a rewards program which has just kicked off to bring people into our world in more diverse ways. MetaMask is firing on all cylinders, and now it's firing on the Ondo global markets.
I love that. No, you guys have definitely shipped a lot. And I think MetaMask is one of those prime examples that is turning more and more into an everything app. There's been a lot of talk about the everything app, a big push even in the US to enable some of that. But MetaMask right now, I think, is living proof that those things are becoming increasingly possible on chain. You mentioned that these things are also available in a self-custodial manner, right? And some other tokenized products are not exactly like that. Why, in your opinion, does the whole concept of self-custody and being able to self-custody these tokenized stocks and ETFs matter in the first place?
Yeah, so MetaMask is moving towards being a full service, essentially a neobank in your pocket or on your mobile or on your laptop. It's a different kind of neobank. It's a neobank that enables you to be fully in control of your assets. And why is it important to have self-custody of your assets in a country like this? You don't really need that, except when the shit hits the fan and some sort of crisis happens. Maybe that doesn't happen in the United States. Let's hope it doesn't happen in the United States or major Western countries. But a few years ago in Greece, for instance, there was a bit of a financial crisis there, and austerity was implemented, and essentially a lot of people had their bank accounts haircut by a very significant percent. So you wake up one morning and you have a lot less money than you thought you did, and that's a very civilized country, and it can happen anywhere in the world. And so having full control of your assets in a way that you don't have to ask for permission, in a way that a government can't simply by fiat just destroy value or extract value from you, that is incredibly important. There are a lot more challenged nations in the world. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on currently. There are situations where women's rights aren't well protected, and a woman can earn money and take it home, and that money isn't necessarily safe from family members or community members. It is safe if that money is stored in a MetaMask, and the family members don't have access to that MetaMask. In nations run by tyrants who financially exploit their citizens and financially repress their citizens when the debt gets too large and inflation gets very high. Having access to stable coins, or even better, having access to financial instruments available to Americans or to citizens in Western nations that don't just hold their value as a good store of value, but represent the potential to grow over time. As the American economy grows, that's a total game changer. So you can be protected from your tyrant. Your tyrant can be weakened because the tyrant isn't able to exploit you anymore, and you can potentially access sort of aspects of the American dream. You can buy some Apple stock or some Google stock, and ideally that grows, and ideally that gives you the ability to do something more empowering with your life.
No, I fully agree. One of the key themes that we keep on hitting on at Ondo, at least, is this concept of access to use any financial product whenever you wanted, wherever you wanted, and being able to have these assets in a self-custodial fashion, in a permissionless fashion, and being able to hold them in a self-custodial wallet, I would argue is quite frankly the only real way to guarantee that level of access that we aspire to get.
It's the ultimate game changer. We're either moving into a bit of a prison planet kind of situation or via decentralization, real economic, social, political, financial agency for people on these decentralized rails, plus AI, so that you can level yourself up on anything in real time and have essentially cognitive superpowers available to you. I think we're going to take the positive road. I'm an optimist, and I think we're laying the foundations for a pretty exciting future.
Awesome. You hit on something that I thought was also quite interesting, where people globally now for the first time can access all of these assets, traditional financial instruments, and having them alongside the crypto. There's really a convergence happening, not really a competition, but a convergence more of the traditional financial world with the crypto world. You could almost argue that the crypto ETFs in a way were the start of that, where crypto was introduced into TradFi just with a different wrapper,
Yep.
and now all of these traditional financial instruments are coming on chain. How do you think that with all of these assets increasingly on one platform, how does that change how people think about portfolios, and does that blur the lines between crypto investors and traditional investors?
Absolutely. Let's hope so. So we're coming out of an era under the Biden administration and Chair Gensler's gaslighting and attempting to thwart our industry at every turn, where it was pretty dire for our ecosystem. So America was trying to kill us, and we made it through. We had a change of administration. We had stable coins already starting to look really promising. We had the ETF approval. I'm not sure who made the phone call to Chair Gensler to make that happen, but thank you, whoever that was.
Maybe the person's in this room, who knows?
It could be. Then we had the Genius Act making stables legal and exciting. And that essentially caused a bit of an earthquake in the financial industry. So banks started to panic. They started to be concerned that maybe they'll lose their deposit base. I don't think that's true. Nick Carter on his podcast shared some data that bank deposits really rise and fall in correlation to the liquidity in the U.S. or the global economy. It's probably much less likely to be affected by stables. My guess is that stables will be a certain form of money. Bank deposit tokens will be a different form of money. There will be other forms of money, and they'll probably rise and fall with global liquidity. And so we've been in this era where TradFi has found itself now onboarding to DeFi. The digital asset treasury companies were an interesting part of that. I'm very optimistic about certain digital asset treasury companies. I think many others were way too premature, but they're going to be an important construct going forward. As many banks around the world were panicking, Sybos picked up on that, Swift picked up on that, and we ended up entering into discussions about how Swift can offer something that can be a sort of next generation embracing of blockchain and make things easier for financial institutions, for banks around the world to adopt the technology. It's probably not the case that banks will need to custody the assets of their customers in order to survive and thrive. And so there are lots of good ideas around that. But at Sybos in Frankfurt, Javier Paris Tasso, the CEO of Swift, announced that the ConsenSys would be helping Swift to build Swift Ledger. It was a prototype that we've been building. It's the first phase of a multi-phase project. And that was received really well. It was received as a bit of a revelation, where previously it was verboten for TradFi and DeFi to talk to one another. Of course, it happened in many different ways, but many people frowned on it. And the sentiment at Sibos shifted. I think there's a collective sigh of relief and excitement that now we have all been given permission to speak with one another, to collaborate with one another, to take the 200 years of innovation in TradFi and bring that to DeFi, and to take the 10 years of innovation in our space and some pretty profound stuff in our space, I believe, and make that available. So decentralized trust is a main characteristic of what we're all doing in our ecosystem, and Satoshi invented decentralized trust. Ethereum perhaps perfected it and brought it to benefit every kind of application, not just narrow applications of money. And if we can bring decentralized trust to TradFi in a world that is losing trust in centralized institutions, we can make TradFi and DeFi just finance together, and it'll make for much sounder foundations for the economy.
I love that.
And a faster growing economy.
No, I love that a lot. I think a lot of people actually don't realize, but ConsenSys has been active in the TradFi space and trying to get them on chain for a very long time.
Longer than Ethereum has been up,
I think that's
which is
right.
More than 10 and a half years.
Yeah, that's incredible. All right, very good. I know that we are coming up on time, but I think last question for you, looking ahead as tokenization scales more, as more use cases come online, as you're working with the TradFis, what does success for MetaMask look like over the next, call it 12 to 24 months, and how does something like Ondo fit into that?
Yeah, so MetaMask started life as a digital authority tool, enabling you to sign transactions and messages so that you can participate on Web3, on decentralized protocols. It has evolved to be a fully featured wallet, adding portfolio management tooling, all the different kinds of capabilities that I described before. We're incredibly excited about our reward system because it's still going to take time. It's still going to take years for this technology to go really mainstream, and so we can reward people for doing things that they already like to do on MetaMask, and we can show people what to do by incentivizing different kinds of behaviors. We represent the largest distribution in the space, and so many protocols come to us to soon use our reward system so that we can incentivize our users, reward our users to do new valuable things. And so we're moving to be a neobank, a new kind of neobank that you fully own and are in control of. And there's a Claude-bot, Mort-bot moment right now, which is, I think, part of the evolution of this idea of the development of a personal operating system. Right. So MetaMask is rapidly evolving to become your personal money operating system, and MetaMask represents the future of finance, essentially. It's going to be open, it's going to be largely permissionless, it's going to be global, and it's going to accelerate in 2026.
Very cool. I'm very happy.
Timed it perfectly.
I know, you've timed it perfectly. I'm very happy that part of the vision, though, does include self-custodial stocks and ETFs. So absolutely. I'm very excited for that. Joe, thank you very much, and that's a wrap.